Hello, everybody. Me and Traci are here. I'm so excited. I'm going to actually just give it a couple minutes, but I'm going to pop in our group and just make sure that we are actually broadcasting live in there and that nothing is being weird. Oh, look, I see us. I love this. Perfect. Okay, good. So exciting. So welcome, Traci. Everybody, thanks for popping on. When you jump in, if you would please just leave a comment and throw us some hearts and let us know that you're here and where you're coming from, where you're joining us from. But I'm super, super excited for this next series because if you caught any of the spiritual gifts series that I did back in December, it was amazing. It was so, for me, learning so many different modalities of people's spiritual gifts and how they're sharing that with the world and sharing their love and light. And it was just about a week or so ago that Spirit gave me my next assignment. And my mission this year is to really just be in tune with what God wants me to do next and just take those next steps in obedience and knowing that there is someone out there that He's asking me to be a light for and help in some capacity. So for me, I just love sharing, allowing other people to share their light and their story. And, you know, this year, I shared a little bit with you, Traci, this year for me is a big mission of healing myself and in that helping to heal as many other people that I can reach. So I myself am using different modalities, trying different things I've never done before, like Reiki, getting just different things, chakra alignments and all kinds of stuff that I've never even dabbled in before. And then seeing the fruit of that and knowing that I can share that with other people. So it's so many different healing ways. And I think a big, big, big part of healing is sharing our stories and the things that we've been through and the things that we've overcome. And that's what Spirit told me to do, a faith talk series. And I posted earlier today, I was like, we're talking about faith. It is a talk about faith, but faith talks. It's like faith speaks. And as our faith speaks, people hear that and they can hear the story of how faith has gotten us through things, how even people come from, don't have faith and come to faith. So many different capacities of faith and how faith can change lives. So I'm super, super excited to talk to you tonight because your story resonates with me so much. Like, I think that's why I'm so drawn to you in general. I mean, first of all, I love your spunk and your spirit and that you love JT. I mean, that for sure, it draws me to you in general. But the fact that you are a self-proclaimed expanded Christian, which I've never heard before. And for me, it really resonates because I grew up as a Christian. I love Jesus. He's my BFF. And love God, believe in the Holy Spirit, give me the Holy Trinity. But as I've come to evolve in my own spiritual growth this last year, I have a lot of questions in regards to like religion. And I feel like there's so many roadblocks that have really made me blind and held me back from really, truly knowing God in the way that I am called to. And I just got chills saying that because I think it's not just me.
I feel that. Exactly. You put into words exactly the feelings that I've had on this journey. So we're completely on the same page.
Girl, I'm chills all over because it can't just be me and it can't just be you, right? Like there has to be so many others that feel the same way as Christians are growing up. I mean, even Catholics, I say Christians, but Catholics in any sort of religion, you feel like you get to the stopping point and I think that's when you kind of get burnt out as a Christian and you're like, why am I not going deeper? What's missing? I'm praying all the time. I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing and I'm not seeing the miracles happen, right? So I'm excited. That's just a little bit of what I'm thinking and feeling, that I can't wait to hear your side of the story. So tell us who you are, introduce yourself, and just whatever you want to share about your story of Christianity and how you've come to an expanded Christian and what that all means. Explain it to us.
Will do. I am Traci Jackson. For those that do not know, I call myself the spiritual cheerleader because I love encouraging people to shift from a mindset of fear to a mindset of love. I love to empower them to co-create lives that they've always dreamed of. And you know, I used to like make the joke that my mom wouldn't let me be a cheerleader when I was in middle school and high school, so I had to like find that outlet in other areas. so it's happened. I'm finally a cheerleader. Finally I'm super excited about it. But
love it. Team spirit. Literal team spirit, right?
I love it. I used to practice the moves and everything. Like, we won't even go into that. But I had a lot of cheerleader friends. Let's just say it like that.
That's awesome.
To give you a little backstory on me, I grew up in a Baptist household in Alabama. My family was super duper religious. My grandmother wouldn't even let us play Monopoly in the house because that was considered gambling. So, you know, that's my background with, you know, with Christianity. I had it in a box, and it was basically like, these are the things that you have to do to be a good Christian. And for me, I feel like that led to a lot of blocks, even though I had this wonderful, wonderful relationship. Like, I feel like over the course of my life, I have felt so connected to Jesus. It's not even funny.
He is my BFF. He is my BFF, literally.
I mean, I used to tell my mom, like, I found out I was born on a Sunday, and I thought that meant, like,
me and Jesus are like this.
Like, I was born on your day, boo, you know, whatever. But, you know, the thing is, like, I had this faith, and like you said, I wasn't seeing all the miracles that I thought I should be seeing for the faith that I had. And, you know, I was wondering, like, okay, like, what am I doing wrong? So, of course, for me, being the Christian and growing up in the Christian family that I did, I took it as I did something wrong. Either I sinned, or I didn't follow the rules the way I was supposed to, and therefore that's why I wasn't seeing the miracles. If only I could just be a better Christian. If only I could just be, you know, not stray from the path. If only I could just stop.
Right. Or how much guilt, like when you know you kind of screwed up, and you're like, that must be why I just messed up. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like you.
So it's like constant condemnation.
Right. Constant condemnation. Like I felt that throughout my life, even though I had this intense love for Jesus, and I you know, I loved, you know, going to church, and I got really involved in church. Like I was in fellowship with Christian students in high school. I, you know, went to college and like got really involved in my church in college. And I was that girl. I thought I was doing everything right. And I just was like, okay, well, the reason I'm not getting it is because something's not right. Something's right. And, you know, I always had those, I would have messages of like confirmation. That's one of the things that has happened over the course of my life. When I'm thinking about something, I might have, you know, go to church and hear a sermon on that particular topic, and I would feel like, oh my God, he's talking to me. God is talking to me. We have a connection. But it wasn't until this past year that I kind of became an expanded Christian that I felt like I got the tools and resources to be able to connect with God on a daily basis and really feel like I was hearing something back, you know? And, you know, when I talk about being an expanded Christian, it's really talking about the fact that I still have an intense love for Jesus. Like that's my boy. Like he's number one. But at the same time, I've learned so much of, you know, all of these different religious and spiritual paths. I chant. I have literally on my altar space Hindu deities. I chant and you know, invoke deities and things of these nature. And I find so much value in these other religions and some of the meditations and the chants and the, I do oracle cards now. Like I pull oracle cards every day. I journal, I meditate, I do all of these things to connect with the divine that I didn't have access, in my opinion, when I was a Christian. And a lot of it was because I prohibited myself from having interaction with God because I grew up thinking that was evil or of the devil or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And so it's like, now that I have all of these tools and resources, I feel like I am truly, truly connected. I mean, even this live, I asked, recently to be able to get out there and serve in a greater way, to help to elevate the consciousness of the earth, to help people shift from fear to love. And your post came probably like a day or two later, asking like, "Hey, does anybody want to talk about faith?" And I was like, maybe I could do it on this angle. And like, I was like, I don't know, maybe I won't get accepted. But I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And it's just been like one thing after the other that just keeps, reinforcing like that it's happening. Like things are happening. Like I'm getting me having that faith and me drawing that line in the sand and saying I'm certain that this is what I'm meant to do has really started bringing in things and calling in things for me that I don't feel like I would have recognized or had access to as just a regular Christian. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for joining us. Sherry, Tiff, everybody. Who else is on here? I think I saw Andrea. Thanks for, if you guys are popping on, if you would just say hi and let us know that you're here. Drop a comment. Let us know where you're from. And if you want to invite anybody that you think that this would be beneficial to or that they would be interested in learning about, please just add them to the group and I will just approve them right away. So, and if you have questions, we are completely open books. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm assuming you are too, Christy. It's no judgment zone, so no questions will be judged. Nothing is, don't be afraid to ask anything. Like I said, we're completely open books. We're just here to share our love and our light and what we have grown into seeing. So, hey, Amy, thanks for popping on. So glad you're here. Francine's here too. Everybody's popping on.
Yeah.
Amy, I didn't realize Amy was Indiana. That's so far. I thought you were, I don't know where I thought you were, Amy. Okay, so I have a couple questions now. And if you guys missed it, Traci just gave her whole story on how she grew up in a Baptist household for pretty much your entire life.
Yes.
And
Alabama. I qualify it in
Alabama. I mean, that is like legit Bible Belt, okay? She's like Bible Belt. First generation right there. So let me ask a couple questions that popped up when you were talking about like your growing up in a Baptist household and community. When did you like start diving into like just the other spiritual like tools and stuff like that? Like when did you kind of like step over that line of this is Christianity and this is what you're supposed to do and then don't touch these things because those are bad and evil?
It literally was last year. Like it was last year, right after I read The Universe Has Your Back, because
me too.
Right?
That was like
the entryway to like all these things, because she talked about signs and she talked about all of these things, oracle cards, and I was like, what are these things, and I mean, up until this point, like I remember even when I first moved out to Houston, I moved out here in 2004. I had two friends that were super into like going to get readings and like finding out their future and all this stuff. And I was like, that's the devil. No, I don't want to go. Like, no. And they knew not to tell me or invite me, because I was so close-minded to it, like even then. So like it just happened this year where I read this book. It resonated so deeply with me. Mainly, I think because that book has so many, principles in it that are biblical principles. So it was familiar.
I agree. It resonates so deeply because it is biblically based.
Right.
Because it's based off of A Course in Miracles, which
Right.
is based off of the Bible. So yeah, for me, it was like, that was almost my like solidifier. I had already been like meditating and stuff last year, but that book for me was like the opening. That was like a huge part of my spiritual awakening, like my huge, like, big meltdown. Yeah. So if you guys have listened to or read that book, comment below. The universe has your back. It's my absolute go-to favorite. I've listened to it 3 times already. I just saw Gabby Bernstein live. Like, it's she's amazing, and that book like changed everything for me. So Elizabeth said, I don't know what spiritual stuff you're talking about, but I'm into it. Well, listen, all we're saying is we love Jesus, we love God, we believe in the Holy Spirit and the Trinity, but we also believe in a greater, bigger, I guess, a bigger consciousness other than just what the Christian religion defines as how you are supposed to love and be loved, right?
Right. I mean, even for me, like, I remember being wary of even the Catholic tradition. Even though I went to a Catholic school for college. So, but I went to a Jesuit institution, and like the fact that they prayed to saints, like, I was like, oh no, like, what? I don't know what that is. Like, we're only supposed to pray to Jesus. Like, you know, like,
me too.
It kind of freaked me out. But at the same time, like, now, like, I totally talk to Mother Mary and the saints. And like, you know, like, invoke, like I said, these deities, but I look at them all as aspects of the greater big G God, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things where I think the evolution has happened over time, to where I am more open and more allowing to let things come in, because my barometer now is love. If I feel like it's working, then I'm probably going to be okay with it. That's really my barometer right now.
And I think, let me ask you this: do you still think it's like a personal level? Like, is there anything that you're still like, I'm not super duper comfortable with that?
You know,
on the woo-woo stuff. So we're talking about like the woo-woo things, like getting, you know, palm readings and chakra is aligned and getting tarot cards done and all of that goodness.
Yeah, no, I think I'm pretty open now, like, which is kind of funny because I never thought I would be this way. Like, I was really wary. I remember like last year seeing the book by Lisa Lister called Witch, and I was like, oh no, don't read that. No, not going there. You know, like, too much. We've gone too far. And I read the book like, you know, late last year, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. This is awesome. Yeah, let's do some rituals. Yeah, I'm a witch.
Okay, let me ask this. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right? Please. Let me ask you this thing. So First, I want to ask, what does your family say about all this?
Okay, so my mother is not really, she seems to be supportive of it. Like, she's not really saying no. She's not really saying yay, but she's just kind of like, oh, okay, you pull cards. Okay. Like, you know, and my dad probably doesn't really know that I'm doing it, but because we keep him in the dark.
Because as long as you still love Jesus, you're fine.
Yeah, like, we keep him in the dark about most things. But like, my mother has known about every conference. Like, you know, when I went to see Gabby in New York, like, I told her about like the event. I told her about what happened, how much I loved it. I told her, you know, when I went to an Oracle card conference in Florida, like, she knows about everything that's been happening, and she's seen me, you know, pull cards. I've pulled cards for her, and she's like, so you're pulling a card for me for what? Like, she doesn't really have.
Yeah, like, whatever.
But at the same time, I think that for her, she sees like that change in me that makes her be okay with it. It's kind of like, well, she's not killing people and she's not, being rude or mean. She's not doing evil things. So I'm all right with it.
Okay. So now let me ask another question. And you guys, like I said, ask questions if you have them. I'm going to ask the questions that I think people are wondering because I have a ton of Christian friends and a lot of Christian friends in this group.
Yes.
So let me ask this. Do you still believe in the devil and like heaven and hell?
To an extent, I do believe in the devil and I do believe in hell. I don't believe in the concepts of them as depicted in the Christian religion, as like what I grew up with. So like in my eyes, hell is not having a connection with God and going through this world, trying to like make sense of all of this mayhem that's completely happening right now without having a connection with God. Like to me, that's hell.
Okay.
And so I don't necessarily think that there's
a fiery pit
under the earth or down low where there's burning fire and brimstone and Lucifer is governing over it. I don't believe in that necessarily anymore.
Okay, so so Lucifer isn't governing, but is he still Lucifer? Is there still a devil running around?
Yeah, like I still think that there are evil entities, evil spirits. Like that was one of the things that was very concerning to me starting off when I would hear people talk about like speaking to spirits or having a spirit guide. I was like, if I'm speaking to those, like what's to prevent the bad ones from coming in? Like I definitely believe there are like evil entities, and I believe a lot of those evil entities come in when the mind is in that negative,
not aligned.
Right.
I agree. So I think it's interesting because what I feel like I've been learning myself is just for me that as a Christian and just going to church, it's like we're taught very black and white, like heaven and hell and good and bad, and that's it. And evil spirits and like God is good, right? And that's it. No one really talks about your angels, which I thought was really interesting because they are mentioned in the Bible. People do have angels in the Bible, but no one talks about it. And so it was interesting when I would hear people say, I'm calling on my angels, or I'm talking to my angels, or even you see those signs everywhere, even in Christian stores, like my angels are flying faster than me, like my car to keep me safe or whatever. You know what I mean? Like people make funny references to it. But then when you start saying like, I'm bringing my angels with me, people kind of get a little weird, right? Like it's almost like there's this little line you can't even cross with angels, which are good.
That's right. That's right. We can refer to them like when, for instance, Gabriel is bringing the news to Mary. We do say Gabriel brought the news to Mary that she was going to have. But if you say I'm talking to Archangel Gabriel, people are looking at you like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Well, Mary talked to him. I can't talk to him. Like, so I will agree with you on that. And I mean, even, Lucifer, a lot of people don't recognize Lucifer was an angel, he's a fallen angel, but that's, the whole biblical story. And we do talk about them, but we talk about them in those contexts, like, okay, he was a fallen angel. He had pride and he wanted to rise up above God. And that's why he was, fell. And, we mentioned, like I said, the angels and the heavenly host and stuff like that, but we don't really necessarily refer to them as named beings. So often we'll a lot of times just say the angel said, and because like we've kind of melded them all together, and we don't recognize that they're entities that we can actually speak with. Like that's something that has definitely changed for me since I've been using oracle cards, because when I started with oracle cards, I started with Doreen Virtues because they were angels. And I was like, I'm comfortable with that because at least I know that there are angels in the Bible.
Yeah. So I think on the same token that we're not taught about in Christianity or in church about that like evil is okay. They'll say it in this context. Evil is around us all the time. The world is an evil place. There are evil people, right? Like we know that. But those are also evil spirits, and evil spirits are around us all the time. Just like our angels are flying ahead of our car to keep us safe and not crash or whatever. Right. There's evil spirits around us all the time too, and that's something that we need to protect ourselves against and be conscious of and be aware of. I think it's the same thing. It's like very just boxed, and so we're not taught the proper tools on how to communicate, I guess, and like, you know, use those tools to our benefit so that our life is more protected and I don't know, more. I feel better knowing what I'm up against rather than just saying it's just this one devil guy, because I know that there is evil all around. It's not just Satan. It's not just the devil, right? There's bad people and bad stuff that happens all the time because there are evil spirits, period.
Right.
So hold on, I have a couple questions, and it is some people. Liz is like, this is getting over my head.
Elizabeth, come in. Feel free to come to my group. I'm happy, and PM me if you need any questions answered. I'm happy to answer questions on any of this stuff.
Yes, and Francine makes a good point. She's like, same as when you say like you're a healer. People don't like to hear people say that they're healers, but the Bible talks about being a healer as a spiritual gift. It's true, and that was actually a big part of why I did the spiritual gifts series, because it is biblical to have spiritual gifts. Every single person that I had an interview with, all of those spiritual gifts, every single one of them, you could pinpoint down into the biblical spiritual gifts. You could categorize all of them, every single one of them. So let's see. I'm going to go back down because Amy had a question, and she said, just asking from curiosity, do you find it hard to be your truest self at church? Meaning, can you be open about your spirituality with your fellow church parishioners? She has friends who have a hard time being open about their spirituality in church environments.
I think it can be hard for some. I would have encountered that if I was still at the church that I was going to when I was in college. But the church that I attend here, like, and this is just a testament to God making space for you and putting you in the right place. The church I go here is a Methodist church, complete Methodist church. The pastor's wife literally started teaching us meditation last summer. Like the last Sunday I went, she referenced A Course in Miracles. And now I'm about to go to her house and start studying A Course in Miracles with her.
I love it. That's so awesome. I want something like that out here.
Right. And so she's like, she's opening up the minds of our parishioners to another way of being. Like, I remember when she first was teaching meditation, and this one individual in the back raised their hand and said, yeah, I heard this was of the devil. Like, we're not supposed to meditate. And she came in and she was like, absolutely not. Like, it says it in the Bible that we meditate.
Jesus meditated.
Yeah. And like people were, like oh, I heard I wasn't supposed to do yoga because it's like you're saying stuff to someone else. And she's like, no, like you can do yoga. Like this is no. She's debunking all of these myths that we've had in Christianity, because she recognizes that all of these other tools like meditation and learning from A Course in Miracles are helping us to establish a closer relationship with God. She's doing it on her own. She's seeing it on her own. And so she's bringing it to the church, which is awesome. Because like I said, like I was kind of freaked out when she said it in the sermon. She's like, and A Course in Miracles says, and I was like, oh my God, I'm studying A Course in Miracles right now.
That's crazy. But I have to say for myself, Amy, just to answer your question, I definitely don't feel the same connection going to church And we actually haven't been going to church for a while because my husband also doesn't feel the same connection. He questions a lot of things, and I almost feel like you can't ask the questions in church because you're not going to get these answers, right? So I don't know. I mean, that is something I definitely don't feel in church like I can be my true self as far as where I am spiritually and my connection with God and how I find that connection. But I share it with I mean, obviously I'm not ashamed of it because I hear him live on public. Like, I don't care what anyone thinks because I'm not here to convince anyone of what it is. I'm sharing, this is what I know to be true. This is my truth. And that's all my job is to share it. Right. And that's it. People will come to their connection with God in their own way. And I don't judge that at all. If you don't want to meditate, like, you don't have to meditate. I don't care. As long as you connect with God in whatever way is comfortable for you, and that you know that you're in that deep, real, true love relationship with God, and you know what that means. And you don't have those lingering feelings like we were talking before. Like, I feel like I'm not going deep enough. I feel like I'm missing something. I still feel like I'm not getting what I need. If you're still feeling like that, then something is missing. You do need to dive deeper. You do need to do something else. Because that's one thing. Francine and I mentioned we went to go see Gabby in January when she came to LA. And one of the most telling things, I mean, these are all spirit junkies, right? Like, hardcore Gabby followers, they love God. They believe in they do all the things, they pray, they meditate. And I mean, one after one, these women, if you guys don't follow Gabby Bernstein, she wrote The Universe Has Your Back. And so after all of her talks, if you watch her live, she does like a Q&A session. And for like the last 30 minutes when you're live with her. And one after one, these women would come up to the microphone and they were saying, I still feel like something's missing. I'm doing all the things. I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm journaling, I'm doing all the things. And I need that deeper connection. Something is still missing. And that's when I was like, you have to go deeper. Like, there is so much more work to be done. And that's part of like the healing and the releasing and really working with God to get rid of all that deeper stuff that's like stuck in. And there, it's like, if you're feeling those feelings, like, I'm just scratching the surface or something's still missing, even though I'm going to church all the time and I'm praying all the time. And maybe I'm meditating, maybe I'm journaling, I'm talking to friends, I'm going to my Bible study groups all the time. I'm learning, I'm in the Word, I'm doing all the things, but something is still missing. Then you don't have that connection. That's what I'm saying, is like that true deep connection with God, where you know that you know that you know that you know, and you're hearing from him very, very clearly, and you're getting the answers to what the next step is. That's what's missing. And that's when that's when I encourage people to then start looking in your spiritual toolbox and say, okay, I tried all these things. What else can I try? Like, maybe you just do need a chakra alignment. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it could just be like something simple like that. Clear your energy out, like get a Reiki session, get, some new energy going where you can really connect with God in a different way.
No,
that's really all I'm here to advocate, is for people to get that deep connection with God. That's it. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, Liz also asked, what about praying against Satan in your home and your marriage? Like, how do you feel about that?
Praying against Satan?
Mm-hmm. Me and my husband just had this conversation. I'll let you go, but we just had this conversation because he has a very distinct memory about this, and he doesn't agree with it.
And when we talk about praying against Satan, are we talking about rebuking? Like, I rebuke you, Satan, in the name of Jesus?
I think so.
This type thing? Calling him out?
Yeah, I think so.
For me, I haven't called him out in quite a while. And for me, and this is just me in general, my focus has been on prayer to God and the angels and other sources of positivity, rather than blaming this outside source for things, or, trying to put on him what may be going wrong. And I think a lot of that goes back to my desire to empower. I see a lot of people give away their power real easy, and say, oh, this happened because so-and-so did this, or, we have a tendency to like want to place blame somewhere.
Okay, I was just going to say that it's much easier to place blame than to. So a big part of my spiritual journey and all of this for me is constant. And you guys, when I say constant, I mean constant self-reflection. Every day in every situation, I'm always asking myself, what could I have done better? What can I do? How can I turn this back into love? How can I be more loving? How can I show that person love in a better way? What can I do to make this so I don't feel this way the next time, or make anyone feel the way that they felt because of my reaction, or because of a look I gave, or even just apologizing that I was short or something like that, whether it's my husband or my kids or, a stranger. I'm constantly looking at myself and saying, how can I be better? Constantly. And like putting that on yourself, it feels really good. It's not as like bad as everyone thinks it is, because I'm not judging myself. I want to be better. I want to be a better person, and I want to make other people feel love and light from me.
You feel more powerful because you change that thing in you. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something in you that you can either tweak, change, deep dive into to figure out like what brought up this feeling. Why did I react this way, or whatever? You have that power to make that change in others. And that's why I'm right there with you on the self-reflection. Like most times when things go wrong, the first person I look at now is me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But typically, old Monique for sure 1,000% would have blamed somebody else. I mean, sometimes I still do, and then I have to check myself. I'm like, okay, girl, knock it off. That was, you're nasty.
Right. and quickly going back to the church thing, I wanted to recommend to you and others who are looking for a church home, Unity Church. I don't know if you guys have one in your area, but it seems like they have setups in pretty much every major city in the U.S. And Unity Church actually teaches, Jesus's teachings. So it's a Christian, biblically based community, but they also read A Course in Miracles, and they bring in mediums like James Van Prague and Marianne Williamson. Mm-hmm. So they bring in all of these, authors,
teachers,
like that are doing different things. So definitely look for Unity Church if you are looking for a church home. Look and see if there is one in your local area, because pretty much everyone that has asked me for a church, I've told them about Unity and they found one.
Oh, okay. So Belinda just commented and she says she goes to Unity Church. They are so aligned with all of us.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to check it out. Thank you for that recommendation. I love
here in Houston, and literally, I was like, oh, maybe I should switch membership. But then my pastor's wife was like, let's learn Course in Miracles. I was like, okay, I'm cool.
I'll stay for a minute. Because she smelled the competition down the street. She was like, no. No one's going to Unity. So, Andrea asked a good question. She said, do you believe that you need someone or something more than Jesus or God, and that is why you look to other places, like praying to angels, Mary, saints, cards, etc.?
It's not that I feel like I needed more than Jesus. I think for me, it was feeling like I have all of these other tools and resources available to me in addition to Jesus that I didn't even know existed. And because of these other tools, it's making my connection with Jesus even stronger. Like beforehand, I don't really feel like I was necessarily talking to Jesus. Like I felt like he was cool, and I loved him, and I felt like he came through sometimes, and sometimes maybe he didn't, but we were still cool. But now I felt like, oh my God, I just saw 333. That's Jesus. I literally see a number and go, oh wow, that's Jesus talking to me. He's giving me a pat on the back, telling me what's up. I would have never looked to a number to give me some kind of outside encouragement before, or to help me to connect more. So I think the other resources kind of help me to strengthen my relationship with God and Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. The whole Trinity.
The whole Trinity, yeah. I personally call on my angels. Jesus is one of my angels. He's my best friend. He meditates with me, you guys. So seriously, like when Traci's saying it's like Jesus on a whole nother level, it really, truly, truly is. Because I'm not kidding when I say Jesus is my best friend. Since I'm 5 years old, that's like as far back as I can remember. Jesus is my best friend. He's been with me this whole time. Like literally, we're like tight. Okay, you guys, like we're really tight. But
you have started or anybody else.
I do. I have a shirt that says Jesus is my BFF, you guys. I do. And I'm about to rock it. I'll post it tomorrow or tonight probably. But I just had it made because it's the truth. Everyone needs to know it. But my point is that I feel like Traci said, like, yes, I used to pray. And yes, I did see miracles in my life. But, and this is probably a whole nother different conversation, I now know what manifesting is and what co-creating with God is and what bringing miracles to reality with God, like working with him to make them like very specific things that I want and desire, like the desires of our heart that it talks about in the Bible. I know how to bring those to fruition in working with God to get those to happen, where before I would just be like, oh my gosh, it's this amazing miracle and give credit to God, which is true. He gets all the glory because he makes it happen. But it's not until hindsight and reflection that I was doing all of the things, the steps that tell you how to manifest things, right? So like I was praying, I was believing, I had intent, like I knew it, I saw it, I visualized it, and then I felt it. Like all of the pieces and the key elements of like manifesting, I was doing, but without not knowing it because I was just a regular Christian. I wasn't an expanded Christian terms and all of those things. I just knew that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. When I was actually, even way back then, before I started expanding my spirituality, I was already co-creating with God. I was already making miracles with him, and he was blessing me because I was working with him and taking the next steps that he was telling me to take, right? But it is in that, like in this bigger awareness, I guess, is what I want to tell Andrea is that's really when my connection with God and with Jesus just got deeper, because literally I sit in meditation, and if I ask him to, I can see Jesus like with me meditating, and he holds my hand. And sometimes when I'm crying, I can lay my head on his lap. Like literally I am with Jesus. So yes. I know it sounds cuckoo and like really crazy, but if you've been there, then you know what I'm talking about, because it's amazing. And he is my best friend. So I can't judge anybody that says like they see their angels like that, because I don't. Like Jesus is my angel. He's like my number one. He's my like, he's my ride or die. Like literally, right. Jesus is my ride or die. So, you know, I don't judge anybody in what they believe or see, because like I said, my whole intent and purpose is that you feel that same deep level, like deep rooted, know that you know connection with God and Jesus, and know it like you've never known it before, because it's the most amazing and freeing thing I think that I've ever experienced ever.
Right.
That's pretty amazing. I do have to say though, still probably, I don't judge it. There's still some things in the woo-woo that I'm like, I don't want to know about. Like Francine just told me she had cards pulled for our event. You know, we have a big event coming up in April, and she's like, we had cards pulled on our event, and I don't know if I believe what the cards say. I don't know. I can't wait to show you. I'm like, I don't want to know. Like, don't tell me about what the card said. I can't be involved. I can't have this like weighing on me. I don't want to know. So like, I just don't want to know. I don't judge anybody that pulls cards. I just tend to not, because I know how I react personally. So I'll internalize what the reading is. Like, I just know myself. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'll internalize what the reading is. And if there's even a hint of like negativity, I'm like, oh my God, it's the end of the world, right? Like, I'll just like suck all that in. So I don't even want to know it. So I just stay away from it. Like, I don't need something that tells me every day, like an affirmation. I guess that's a point to what Andrea is saying is, I don't need to pull an oracle card for myself every day to know that God's with me and that he's talking to me, right? Like some people need that and they like that comfort. it's like a security blanket. I wear my robe every day. What does that say about me? It's part of my comfort and my security. Right. But some people like to pull a card every day and to get that word of affirmation and know that they're on the right path and God's leading them in the right way and they're taking the next right step. Personally, for me, I like to sit in meditation and hear what he has to say and journal it out. And I think that's the beauty of it, is like, we don't need, and this is just my own take on it. It's like, I don't need it, but sometimes it's cool to have. Sometimes I'll pull an affirmation card, or, I've totally had a tarot pull and had someone for this past year, and it was a pretty amazing reading. But I don't live or die by it. I don't even go back and look at it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like,
and that's my whole, like, with the cards, I have to say this because I am a card reader. I pull every day. If you don't resonate with the reading, if a reading does not hit you and you're like, oh, I really resonated with that, don't believe it. If you get cards and you're like, they're talking negative and I really thought this event was going to go well, don't believe it. Like, I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, I talk a lot, and I mentioned this to my group, like, Colette Baron-Reed is one of my teachers, and I'm in her Oracle school, and she talks about the fact that she used to get readings from people, when she was growing up, that told her she would never get married, that every man that she would be with would cheat on her. She got married. She's married to a great guy, and they have a very loving relationship. He's like her business partner. Like, I've seen them together. They're very lovey-dovey. So, she said, I didn't believe in what they told me. And that goes back to my whole message of giving your power away. Like,
agreed.
A lot of people put a lot of weight into what the cards say. The cards are just a tool. That's it. Yeah. Like, they're just a piece of paper. Like, you give them weight. Yeah.
Discernment is a huge part of any practice.
It is. And I feel like a lot of times we don't give ourselves that spiritual discernment, especially like some of us newbies on this path. Like, when we get a reading and it's bad, we're like, oh my God, hellfire and brimstone. We're not, and it's like, no, one of the things that Colette teaches us all the times, and one of the reasons I pull cards every day, is because it's my 24-hour window. It keeps me present. So I don't future cast. I don't look to the future. I look to, what do I need to know today for my highest good? That's all. Like, and that card is for today. It doesn't transfer over 2 days from now or 3 days from now. Right. For today. So that's just kind of how I read and how I do. But yeah, like, you're right. We all are on our path, and there's no one path to get to, enlightenment or heaven or whatever you want to call it. Like, there are many ways to go on this journey. And so, there's no right or wrong in that sense.
I agree. Okay, so if anybody has any other questions, we're coming up on the hour mark. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything or anybody. Thank you for being here with us. This was so good.
Yes. I thought I saw one about speaking in tongues, maybe? Something.
Oh, I did.
Asked me if I believed in speaking in tongues, and I actually used to speak in tongues, so, which was not Baptist proof. Let me just tell you. But when I was in college, the church that I attended believed in baptism of the Holy Spirit with evidence of speaking in tongues. And so I did speak in tongues when I was in college. And I definitely believe it is a power. I believe that,
it's a gift. It's a spiritual gift.
Like, it's written in the Bible. It's talked about in the Bible. So I definitely believe that it is something that is true and completely real.
I agree. Okay, so let's see. Let me ask you, you guys drop questions. If we don't get to them in the broadcast, we will definitely get to them afterwards. So you're welcome to drop them anytime. If you're watching the replay, ask any questions. Like I said, we're open books and we'll definitely get back to that. Thank you for watching the replay. Thanks for staying with us for almost an hour. I hope this has been valuable for you guys and like eye-opening and just taught you some things. And if not, at least hopefully we've been entertaining. If you're like, this is a bunch of hooey.
It's helped me. It's helped me.
Yeah. So let me ask, I asked every person that I'm interviewing to bring their favorite quote that resonates with what you're talking about. So if you would share a quote that you have with everybody that might give them some words of encouragement or maybe something, an affirmation that they could take away, a mantra, anything like that.
Well, as far as a quote is concerned, in dealing with faith, I love Wayne Dyer. Believe it before you see it. Basically, when you have that belief, when you're certain of it, that's when you'll actually see the thing that you are wishing for, hoping for, wanting, desiring to come about. A lot of times we have that mentality of wanting to see it before we'll believe it. And I think that the belief is what brings it in. Faith truly makes the impossible possible.
I love Wayne Dyer, and I love that quote because it's exactly flipped from what we're taught, right? Like, if believe it when you see it. No, or see it. I'll see it when I believe it. Is that what it goes? How does it go? I'll believe it when I see it.
His is see it. His believe it before you see it. Yeah. Most of us think I'll believe it when I see it, but it's basically believe it before you see it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let me ask you a quick question. Just to wrap it up, how has all of this, like your faith in everything as a whole, like where you started with your faith as a Christian and how it's expanded, your faith has expanded now. How does that help you have faith in the greater, like the world and the greater humanity and everything else? Like, did it change? Was it a smaller perspective at one point? And then is it now, has that in itself expanded? Yes. Not just what you practice or what you do, but just in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, it definitely, for me, I feel like my faith has helped me to recognize my little piece in this big puzzle that we all call life. Like, I feel like I was truly sent to earth to bring about a certain change that I was put into this role. Because I've had, like, when I was in college, I literally did think about going into ministry. I wanted to be a counselor, a spiritual counselor, but I was like,
me too.
I was like, I don't know if they really make any money and I've got student loans, and so I like pushed it to the side. I pushed it to the side, but there's always been this part in me that wanted to do something like this. And every time it came up, I pushed it to the side. Yeah. And, I don't, looking back on it, I don't take those things lightly. I feel like that was God, putting it in my mind and helping me to, over time, to be able to accept this calling. I truly believe that, people are called, in the Bible, it says many are called, but few are chosen. And I think in A Course in Miracles, it says something like many are called, but few actually answer. And so I feel like all of us were put on this earth for a specific purpose. And I feel like I'm here to help us elevate the consciousness of the world so people are not afraid to shine their light, to help others move into this, like I said, this mind, move from fear to mindset.
Yes. I'm with you, sister. I'm with you in all of it. I believe the same thing. And it's funny because I think that was a big, big, big part of me and my spiritual journey. And as we wrap this up, I love how we're wrapping it up because this, as an expanded Christian or expanding my spirituality in general, it showed me what my purpose and my calling was, where I have struggled my entire life, you guys, almost 40 years it took me to figure out what my purpose and calling was. And I constantly had that nagging feeling. And I always went to church, and I always believed in Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit, and I did all the things, but I constantly had that nagging feeling like I need to be doing something more. I'm not exactly on the path that I've been called to. What am I missing? And it wasn't until I allowed myself to just let down the walls of everything that I've been taught and say, okay, God, tell me what to do. Tell me where to go. Tell me what to say. Tell me who to speak to. All of that. Like, you show me. I'm going to stop trying to figure it out on my own now. And allowed that everything to almost for the veil to be lifted, kind of. You know what I mean? I think a veil is put on us in religion in general. I'm not just saying Christianity. Religion in general. I think it's all religions. They are for their own purpose. Which I think A Course in Miracles is the whole purpose of that book, is to make the world aware again of what God really wants us to do and to be. So I think, it's really amazing that allowing myself to be open to a greater consciousness and a greater spirituality is what brought me to my purpose. And there is like no question that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, we are called and we know what we're supposed to be doing. And it's not just like working this job. It's like,
right.
Like, why am I still doing this? And why
like Marianne Williams says, you cannot be fired from your calling. You don't.
No, that's right.
You know it. Nope.
It's amazing. So for that, I'm grateful. And that is, I think, the culmination of this expanded Christianity or expanded faith. Is it really allows you to be who God has truly called you to be, and truly do the work that he's called us to do. And to me, that's the most beautiful knowing that I could have ever walk into, because I struggled for years, and it's a sad place to be, to know that you're supposed to be doing something more and not know the steps, and feel like you're not able to ask for help in your place of worship, right? Because isn't it funny too, like, they'll have you do all the spiritual gifts tests. Like, I've done all those. I did all that stuff in church, and I still was like, I'm still lost. I still don't know what I'm doing.
No, it's so funny you said that, because that's exactly what happened. I had that same thing happen to me. I felt the call that I needed to be doing something more. And I remember actually my pastor's wife coming to me, and she said she sent the pastor away. Like, I was helping them with an actual real estate deal, because I'm a real estate attorney. And she said, God called me to talk to you alone. I feel like something's going on. What is it? And I said, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something more than I'm doing. Okay. And she started sending me things to help me on the journey to do, but it was still kind of in the box, it was still a little bit in the box. And so when I stepped out, for the first time to do something different, I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to be received.
Yeah.
But so funny how God, I can't make it up. How amazing he is. He helped the church expand for me. She's expanded her mindset around what it means to be a Christian. Therefore, I'm safe to be able to share what I'm doing as a Christian.
Yeah. So I love it. That's all we're here for. So just share love and light, and let people find that in their own way, and zero judgment. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you for joining Traci and I. Traci, thank you for sharing your story of faith and how that's grown and how you've evolved in that. And I am so excited to see you continue to grow and evolve and change lives and share your love and light with the world. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for watching the replay. We love you. We'll see you next time. Bye.